Hey guys, Jason here again. Welcome to another episode of Album Review Corner, and today I'm reading Wasting Light by rock band the Foo Fighters. Alright, so this album was released on April 12th, 2011. It is their 7th studio album, the band's first since 2007's Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace. Alright, some background information on this record, Wasting Light. Really, on this record, Dave Grohl, the frontman, wanted to capture the essence of the band's earlier work. So the band recorded in Dave's garage, a very intimate setting, using only analog equipment that really can't be changed. Adding an interesting sound there. The recording session was supervised by producer Butch Vig, who worked with Dave Grohl on Nirvana's Nevermind, has also been a working producer for a while, was in the band The Garbage, has working on and off with the band for a while now. Ex-Nirvana guitarist Pat Smear also appeared on this record, adding a third guitarist to the band, which I think gives an interesting level of guitar layers to the band, a lot of different layering options they can use. Gives the band an overall hard rock feel, and this album a hard rock feel rather. I'll get to that a little bit later on in the review, but I really enjoyed that third guitar throughout the album, a lot of the songs. The promotion for this album included the documentary Back and Forth and a worldwide concert tour that included playing concerts in fans' garages. I didn't really know when I looked this up. Really adds an interesting element to the band's. They want to get closer to their fans, and I think that proves that. Alright, and after some rumbling that this album, Wasting Light, may be the band's last record, Dave Grohl recently announced on the band's online that the band's new album is complete and will be released sometime in 2014. That is something to look forward to as a Foo Fighters fan. Alright, Wasting Light had a lot of success when it first came out. Rope, the first single, became only the second song to ever debut at number 1 on the Billboard's rock songs chart, which I think is really truly amazing if you think about that. With all the rock albums and alternative albums that really came out in the 90s and stuff. And Wasting Light also went on to win 5 awards at the 2012 Grammy Awards, including Best Rock Album. I think it's definitely, it definitely deserves it, and I'll get to that in a little while here. But I cannot say enough about this record, and I'll get to that in a little while, as I just said. Alright, by track review, since this album is really recorded on an analog tape, it has a slightly heavier and raw sound. The sound is more natural as opposed to some of the band's other releases. It has a back to the roots feel that can be heard throughout the album, starting with the first track, Bridge Burning rather. The song really starts the album out with a bang. It starts off with a single distorted guitar riff opening that really quickly explodes into a virtual wall of guitars, which is created by the 3 guitarists here, the 3 guitars, to create a really guitar rap song similar to The Pretender with the drums with that song. When the full band really comes in with this song, it adds another element to it with some booming guitar, some sharp bass work, and Dave Grohl's signature screaming, singing vocals, which seem to get lost in the song with the guitar rapness there, but nevertheless, it really completes the song, really tops it out there. Alright, song here is Rope. The song was the first single I actually heard off the album. It's the first song I actually heard, and to be honest, I really didn't know what to think. It sounded like Foo Fighters, it did, but it also sounded different. It has a interesting delayed progressive rock inspired, maybe some Rush inspired intro that seems to build up and travel throughout the song, only to kind of tail off as we get to the main chorus here into a strumming effect, which is something new for the band, something interesting. The peak of the song for me is really after the main portion there, where Dave's vocals seem to tail off, seem to be transferred to the instrumentals with some booming drums similar to maybe some Black Sabbath even at points. That's a stretch, but I see that. It's a very intense guitar riff similar to some Led Zeppelin at points as well. Alright, the third song here is Dear Rosemary. It's one of my favorites off the album. It's a up-tempo, upbeat song that starts off with a single soft acoustic guitar riff that kind of explodes into a in-your-face jam session. It features singer-songwriter Bob Mould. If you know anything about Bob Mould, after me watching the documentary or parts of the documentary back and forth, he has a very contrasting style of Dave Grohl. Dave Grohl has a very aggressive sound where Bob Mould has a very kind of a laid back, delayed sound. I think, not as in your face, but definitely good as well. I think it fits perfectly with Dave's vocals, and really gives a personal, honest feel that Dave was trying to go for, the painful honesty. My favorite part of the song has to be the abrupt ending, because it really shows the true anger and pain that Dave is going through. This song really feels like Dave has lost someone that he really cares about, whether it be a love interest, whether it be a friend and whatnot. It seems like an interesting letter, if you will, there to this person. Alright, the fourth song here is White Limo. The song is a very upbeat, up-tempo, thrash metal-inspired song. It starts off with a fuzzy, distorted opening guitar riff, and travels throughout the song, really dropping some really hot guitar leads. It added an interesting element. I really, really enjoyed that. They're very in your face, very up-tempo there. The one thing I really want to talk about with this song is the vocal technique. And it is very different from the rest of the album. Like I said, it's very thrash metal inspired. There's a lot of distortion used. There seems to be a distorted microphone used that gives Dave's vocals just a weird, muffled sounding effect. That in sections really don't sound like Dave at all. Really, really interesting there. Definitely check that song out. Alright, the fifth song here is Arlandria. This song is probably my second favorite on the album. It features a lot of tempo changes that really caught my attention. It starts off with a fast, hard-rocking, just abrupt guitar intro that slows down, and really to a stripped down version during the verses here. Then really picks up speed again. Finally, with the very funky, fun anthem sounding ending to the song. And sorry, I kind of delayed that there. That features some complete, addicting, hand clap sounding drum rhythms. And it's really interesting, really hard to explain there. Overall, the song reminds me of Dear Rosemary, because it is a big sing-along ending that is really, really catchy. Another one of my favorites. Definitely check this one out. The sixth song here is These Days. This song seems to fit the Foo Fighters classic hard rock ballad mold. It reminds me a lot of Best of You, because not really with the screaming vocals really, but because of the self-reflection, as Dave seems to be reflecting on his personal career with both music and with his life, with having kids and whatnot. It features an extremely catchy stop-start feel towards the end of the song, where it stops for a brief moment, then crashes in again, really 10 times louder, and really caught my attention. They're really, really interesting. Alright, the seventh song here is Back and Forth. The song is another upbeat song that features yet some more catchy guitar riffs and a guitar pairing and drum pairing that continue out their whole song and really set the tone for an interesting distortion idea that is used during the main chorus of the song. Really interesting there. It's very hard to explain a lot of these songs without listening to them, so I recommend you do that. But I don't know, it just adds an interesting element there. Alright, the eighth song here is A Matter of Time. This song starts out with a very, again, distorted guitar opening that is used a lot, and I know I'm kind of repeating myself, over a really, really interesting rhythm technique that's very similar to what the band did on Dear Rosemary or Rope here. It builds into a very, very big, screamy, catchy chorus that is easy to very sing along with. Very interesting there. Not one of my favorite songs, but definitely not one of the most memorable, but definitely one of my favorite, most underrated songs there. Alright, the ninth song here is Miss the Misery. This song starts out with a really heavy guitar riff, something that really isn't used much, except for the first couple songs here. That really gives the song a really slower pace, maybe a going on a limb here, Black Sabbath feel to it. The thing that really caught my attention was Dave's really vocal harmonies, where Dave is not really singing words. He's just singing a long, really drawn-out melodies and phrases that are very well placed in this song and really well placed on this album. Or the 10th song here, I Should Have Known. The song is really a standout, and honestly a standout to me on this album. It features the use of stringed elements, a lot of violins used and whatnot, a lot of distorted vocal techniques again, and some really tamed, really toned guitars that give this album a very blues vibe, something that we rarely see from the band. I think really the distorted vocals used really help spread the feeling of anger, passion anger that Dave is trying to give off. As he's reflecting on his past, most notably with Nirvana and the death of Kurt Cobain. I think it's a very, very emotional song. One of my favorites, top 2 or 3 on this album. Alright, this next song here, Walk, is my favorite on the album by far. It really finishes off the album on a very high note. The song really changes tempo a couple times, which I think is really interesting. It starts off fairly slow with a series of single guitar riffs. It quickly picks up the pace, and when the full band comes in and just is a rocker. It has a very catchy chorus and pounding drums to create both an inspirational, as I said, and catchy message of overall never giving up. It is inspired by a 1993 movie here, Falling Down here, what I think that really adds a humorous feel to the video if you get a chance to look at that. But this song will honestly really get a crowd going live as well. Words can only just really describe the song to a point. I would say you definitely check this song out to experience its power there. Alright, that ends the track by track review. I know towards the end I was a little bit sketchy there, but overall my favorite tracks are Bridge, Burning, Rope, Arlandria, Back and Forth, I Should Have Known, and Walk. Alright, my overall thoughts, before I really get started on the overall album review, I want to say a couple things. Going through the band's really music video history, I realized that the band is one of my favorites when it comes to music videos. I really enjoy the way they add some spin to the music videos, whether it be with adding with some celebrity talent with Lemmy Kilmister of Motorhead as a limo driver with White Limo, and they add a little bit of humor there. A highly influenced parody of the 1993 movie Falling Down, which as I said was on Walk, or Dave Grohl playing a soap star, a funny soap star on a long road to ruin there. The Foo Fighters always seem to come up with some creative music videos that either send a serious message, such as maybe The Pretender, but also a lot have a very humorous message, humorous hard rock message, such as a lot of these songs that I just mentioned here that seem to be missing in rock music today, in pop culture in general. All right, on to my album review for this, or my overall album review for this album here. From start to finish, this album is a very strong release. There's 3 major things that really caught my attention while reviewing this album. They are the band's newfound focus, the growth of the band really in general, I think, and the overall energy of the album. All right, first let's start off with the overall focus. It seems to me that this album is written with a newfound focus, unlike some of their previous releases. The band, this focus can be heard within every track. Every track seems to have a place, seems to do something, and seems to contribute to the album in some way, shape, or form. That seem to really add a smoothness here. That is definitely nice to see. There are no fillers. That is definitely nice to see through, with today's music. That it seems to, yeah. All right. I know that a lot of reviewers also said that there's no real diversity. I tend to disagree, however. There seems to be a little bit of growth to me on this album. Wasting Light seems to go back to the album's roots, or to the band's roots rather. It has a simple, raw feel back to the hard rocking roots, as I just said. Well, seeing the band take different chances, here, with different vocal techniques, distortion methods on the drums and vocals and guitars most notably, and adding a little bit of tempo changes. That's added a lot throughout this record, as I said before, that really showcase how the band has really grown throughout the years, and Dave Grohl especially, with a lot of I Should Have Known with the personal touches there. And finally, the energy of this album really impressed me. It seems to pack 15 years of built-up, raw, rough energy of Nirvana Nevermind energy into one album, whether it be the crashing drums, the hot guitar leads, the different vocal techniques, or the stadium anthem vocal or anthem songs like Walk. That seems to get you moving. This album really does pack a punch. Sure, I mean, obviously has its less memorable moments, and I didn't really mention those much, but there are a bunch there. But vocally and musically, overall, I believe there is enough material on this album to really let or have a person sit there for 48 minutes and satisfy this person's appetite and get the person involved and interested in this record, which is very hard to do. I applaud Foo Fighters for doing that. Great job, guys. And so that's basically it. My review for Wasting Light Foo Fighters. I would give this a 8.5 out of 10. It's a solid record. As I said, there are a little bit of less memorable moments here, other than the songs that I had mentioned, my favorites. Some of those other ones are less memorable, but that's very, very picky there. That's it for my review, guys. I hope you enjoy this. My upcoming reviews include AC/DC. That'll be the next one. Hopefully next week I'll get to that. Writing that up here. Some Lordy, some Avenged Sevenfold there, some the 1975, some Imagine Dragons, some Hailstorm, some Jet Gladstone again with the second release. I've had it on here for a while. I'll finally get to that Jet. Some Jukebox to Go, some Luke Bryan with his new album Crash My Party, some Eric Church, some Tom Petty, some Sound City Soundtrack, some Guns N' Roses, Jimmy Eat World, and Theory of a Dead Man. Also some Tan Vampires and Sons of Hippies. I want to do those. There's some alternative bands and indie bands. Alright, guys, well, thank you for watching this album review episode of Album Review Corner. Again, if you like this album, please let me know what you think and what were your favorite part of this record. I really enjoyed it, as I've said many times throughout this review. Please subscribe if you like this review as well. I try to put out new videos every week. I also do requests, so if you have a request you want me to do, I know I have a couple I'm going to put ahead of some of these. Please feel free to do send them my way, and I will do a whole bunch of other reviews. If you're an upcoming artist you want me to do a review, please shoot me a message on YouTube here. Alright, guys, again, well, thank you for watching this episode of Album Review Corner. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.